Down there on the grid, Martin Brundle.
Hello, we're going to have to get a route here. A lot of tension going on this grid, full house today, and there's really four stories. One of them, I want to just butt my way in here and get hold of the man who's really been cheated of his proper grid position. Fernando Alonso, P10 on the grid. It looks an awful way down there, long way down there to a pole position. And he's just talking to various people here. Fernando, I'm really sorry for you. The lap you did yesterday deserved a reward, not a penalty.
Well, I tried to fight for the sport with a difficult car to drive, nearly broken, but I risked even my life for the sport, for the fans, and I have this penalty. For sure, Formula One is not anymore a sport.
Well, that's a very strong statement from the reigning world champion, and on behalf of the fans, you know, I apologise to you because I just think you've been cheated, but there's a long way to go. We have a saying in English, don't get angry, get even. I don't know if you understand that, but you've got to not take that frustration down to the first corner.
Yeah, for sure. I have to be calm. I have to finish the races. I think the championship at the end will be in our side, even with all these problems. But yeah, things like that make the image of Formula One quite poor.
Does it make you feel angry against Michael or against the system?
Against the system, I think many things happened in the last 2 months against only one team, with no reason, with no explanation, and the image, I think, for the people outside watching TV is that Formula One is a little bit too many politics.
I think you're right. Goodbye. Have a great race. Right, let's move down the grid then. The other story, of course, I said there's four stories. One is that outrageously unfair decision. Flavio was just briefing his two drivers before you threw to me on the grid. Be interested to know what kind of advice he was giving them. They're side by side on the grid, of course. And Barrichello, I think, is somewhere in here, I'm hearing. Let's have a quick word with him. Yeah, we've got a race on today, of course. Who can win this Grand Prix? We've got a world championship at stake. And then after the race, some highly confusing situation as to whether or not Michael Schumacher is going to retire. Rubens, there's a lot going on the grid. You've got Alonso behind you now, Michael up there apparently making decisions and statements. You're kind of piggy in the middle here with your head down. And what's going on for you this afternoon?
Well, I mean, I hope to be the longest of the top 10, and I have a car that improves a lot in terms of race pace, and that's what I'm looking for. I mean, this afternoon I have to be quick in certain moments of the racetrack if I want to finish on the podium.
Now tell us about the first corner here at Monza. It's a long way down there and cold brakes and cold front tyres when you get there.
Well, I mean, I have to close the door on the right moment in one of the Renaults, because then they pump me and I'll just have a good start. But it closed down so quickly. I mean, first corner, you gotta be, it's better be careful than sorry.
Are you gonna cut any slack to Alonso behind you? Because I don't think he should be there.
I don't think he deserved that, to be honest with you. So I don't know. He's gonna come fast. He might have less fuel than us. He's gonna come fast.
Okay, we're gonna move on, and I think over here we've got down here we've got Button's car, but I believe Max and Bernie would be there. Let's I don't think Max is. Max, quick word for ITV. Max, well done on your new initiative for the roadcar safety this week, but I have to say, I do think it's grossly unfair what happened to Alonso yesterday. What's your view of that?
Well, you only think that because you don't know the facts. You see, the fact is that Massa was impeded. Although Alonso didn't have a lot else to do, Massa was the one who was completely innocent. The reason Alonso was in a hurry was because he went out the pits a little bit too late. Not his fault, but it was his team. Somebody had to suffer. He should have suffered and let Massa go. He shouldn't have made Massa suffer. That's the view of the stewards. It's a very hard call. We'd all prefer to see him up the front. The fact is that he broke the rules, and what was done to him was the same as been done to everybody this season.
I've looked at it very closely. I've driven 158 Grand Prix. I've seen the TV, so I commentated on it live. Alonso was so far ahead, you wouldn't have known whether it was a Toyota, a Renault or a McLaren at one point.
Well, that's exactly where you're wrong. You see, we have the advantage that we have the actual data from the car. We can look at what actually happened to the car. We can see whether it was a driver error, whether it was an aerodynamic problem and so on. He was destabilized in the parabolica because the wake of the car in front. That wouldn't have happened. If Alonso had had more time, there's no question he'd have let him go by. He only didn't let him go by, however distant behind, because he was so short a time.
Well, when I'm commentating on the next qualifying session, and if I see a car 100 metres in front of another one, and he's not faster than him, is he going to get penalised?
Well, if he was on his out lap and the fast car was on his hot lap, the answer is probably yes, if there was any evidence that he interfered with him. If they're both on their hot lap, that's tough. I mean, that's what happens. But what the absolute rule is, if you're on your out lap, you must not interfere with the man who's on his hot lap.
Okay, then we have to beg to differ, but thanks for your opinion. Let's wander down here then, where the Ferraris are, the front row of the grid. Felipe Massa, who the team claimed was held up with a little bit of understeer. I actually think he had a bit of a tow myself. And quick run down here for Ross Brawn. We're a bit short of time, but we're gonna.
But next year, are we going to meet here on the grid again?
Well, Michael will make his intentions clear after the race, and we'll have a talk after Brazil.
What's he going to say, Ross? Come on, what's he going to say? Tell us, give us a clue. He's retiring, isn't he?
You'll find out after the race, Martin.
You've got to give us something a little bit more than that.
No, I haven't got to give you anything, mate.
All right, we got to go. Good try. I've got a fraction left. Do we want a quick word with Button? We didn't have a chance to see Jensen much in the pre-show today. So a little jog over here with me, Andy. JB, 20 seconds left. What's going on for you today?
I'm looking forward to it. The car seems to be working really well, like Turkey. So yeah, our race pace is better than quali, I think.
Okay, well that sounds good. And tyres, we've seen some delaminations and all that. Any concerns about that?
Not at all. We're fine on tyres. Great.
All right, good stuff. Back to you, Steve. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.